As claimants get into this application process, they realize that there are a lot of questions involved in knowing exactly how it works and what the process is and how long it takes and what some of the questions, what some of the issues are once the award is made. So what follows now are some of the key questions we receive and some answers that will help you. The questions have come up several times about what sort of care does this benefit cover? And again, remember this, designed to pay for long-term care. And long-term care can come from skilled nursing facilities or assisted living centers, or long-term care can be done in the home in the form of in-home care. So the benefit will cover all three of these. All three of these meet the qualifications and the need for long-term care. Many people ask questions about, well, what sort of service time does a person need in order to get this benefit? And let me just say this, it's an eligibility-based type of benefit. It's a long-term care, but it's also based upon the eligibility of the veteran. And there are several different time frames where the person had to actually be in the service during some sort of a conflict. Not in the conflict necessarily, but in the service somewhere during the conflict. As an example, we have World War II, 1941 through 46. And the Korean War was 1950 through 1955. Vietnam was a little different. It was 64 through 1975. And the Gulf War is 1990 through current. It hasn't been declared yet as far as being over. Now let's go back to Vietnam. Vietnam, remember now, all these different times did not require that the person actually be in the war at the time, with the exception of Vietnam. The first couple of years, 1961 through 64, required that the claimant actually be in the war, in the war zone. In other words, boots on the ground. So that's the only exception to all of these things. We get a lot of questions about what this actually pays this benefit, and the question comes up all the time, well, does a married veteran actually get more than a single veteran? And the answer is yes. The new rates for 2012 show that the married veteran actually gets $24,239 a year. That's up about 4% from last year. A single vet gets around $20,447. You can see there's a difference there of almost $4,000. And then a widow of a veteran gets $13,671. Now a widow is sometimes a very confusing term. And a widow means an unmarried surviving spouse of a veteran. And a single veteran is exactly that. In other words, they're not married, and they're either divorced or never married, or their wife had passed away. So, and a married veteran, that's pretty obvious what that is. So those are the new rates for the year 2012. Receiving this benefit actually does take some time. People say, well, how long does it take? Well, I can just tell you that it takes anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks just to gather up all the data to make the actual application. Once the application goes in, it does take to be anywhere from 4 to 6 months. That's what I have to tell you officially, between 4 and 6 months, for them to send the award letter to the claimant. And then once that award letter goes into the claimant or sent to the claimant, the back pay or the retro pay, because remember now, this benefit pays back to the day of application. So that retro pay gets paid within, I think, 2 weeks. And then from that point on, the monthly benefit gets paid directly into the claimant's checking account or savings account. Many veterans, once they get discharged, sort of lose their discharge papers. They figure, well, they'll never need them again, but in fact they do many times. And this is one of those cases where discharge papers are very important. And so many families can't locate discharge papers or any kind of military records for their veteran who wants to apply for this benefit or anything else. There are ways to get those discharge papers. There's a way to go to a website called VetRex. And there's also another way, and you can call our office. We'll give you a Form 180. That's a VA form that you can mail in or send in by fax. And within a couple weeks, you'll have the discharge papers and anything else that's related. There is a lot of paperwork involved in receiving this benefit. As you can imagine, this is a federal program, and we all know the federal government, state governments, county governments love paperwork, and that's no different for the VA. It does take a lot of paperwork, a lot of documents. Things have to be absolutely correct. It's a case where all the T's have to be crossed, all the I's have to be dotted. And so the question comes up, well, who does all this? Well, we do all this. We'll do all the paperwork, virtually all the paperwork. The only thing the claimant must do is produce military records, like we were just talking about a minute ago, marriage certificates, divorce, death certificates, that type of thing. And most other paperwork we do everything all the way through the final application. Like a lot of things in life, most income is taxable, and so people ask, well, is this taxable? And the answer is no, it's not. Federal tax, state tax is not put on this benefit. It's tax-free in all cases. And that's very important because a lot of things now are being taxed. Tax rates are going up. Anytime we can find tax-free income, that's a good thing. So again, this is non-taxable. This VA benefit does not affect Social Security income or any other type of pension. The only thing it may interfere with might be some type of SSI or Medi-Cal benefits. We find that VA benefits and Medi-Cal benefits do not mix together well, but that's the only exception. So it does not interfere with any other type of income.